Supreme Court, in its opinion rendered Monday, once again has spoken with unanimity on the matter of equality of opportunity for education in the nation's public schools. It is incumbent upon all Americans, public officials and private citizens alike, to recognize their duty of complying with the rulings of the highest court in the land. Any other course, as I have said before, would be fraught with grave consequences to our nation. Americans have always been proud that their institutions rest on the concept of equal justice under law. We must never forget that the rights of all of us depend upon respect for the lawfully determined rights of each of us. As one nation, we must assure to all our people, whatever their color or creed, the enjoyment of their constitutional rights and the full measures of the law's protection. We must be faithful to our constitutional ideals and go forth in good faith with the unremitting task of translating them into reality. The communists themselves have, while calling it a civil war, have stated that their effort is not confined by any manner of means to Quemoy and Matsu, but to not only to Formosa, but to driving the United States forces out of the Western Pacific. Now, with regard, I should say an extra word there about their civil war. If it's a civil war, why is Russia already saying through Mr. Khrushchev in his letters that they are ready to participate in this war? If that's a civil war, I am quite ignorant as to what the term really means. So I do not believe, Mr. Wilson, that there's anything of appeasement. I do believe this. We want a peaceful solution. And fundamentally, anyone can see that the two islands as of themselves, those two pieces of territory, are not greatly vital to Formosa. But of course the Chinese nationalists hold that if you give way to that, you've given away to exposing us to a great attack. And that's a different thing from just concluding that two pieces of territory are the vital issue.
Scott Herbert of the Anchorage, Alaska Daily News. They're wondering up there if you contemplate a personal visit to Alaska to officially welcome it into the Union. No president, they say, has had such a privilege in 46 years.
Well, it's a tempting invitation, if that is an invitation. When is the actual date?
Oh, dear.
The United States is bound by treaty to help to defend Formosa from armed attack, and the President is authorized by joint resolution of the Congress to to employ the armed forces of the United States for the securing and protecting of related positions such as Quemoy and Matsu. The President has not yet made any finding under that resolution that the employment of the armed forces of the United States is required or appropriate in ensuring the defense of Formosa. The President would not, however, hesitate to make such a finding if he judged that the circumstances made this necessary to accomplish the purposes of the joint resolution. In this connection, we have recognized that the securing and protecting of Quemoy and Matsu have increasingly become related to the defense of Formosa. This is indeed also recognized by the Chinese Communists. Military dispositions have been made by the United States so that a presidential determination, if made, would be followed by action both timely and effective.
Better make some noise, Paul. That's where you keep going.
We have found that in the two junior high schools mentioned, 136 and 139, that there is upwards of 50% of substitute and probational and temporary teachers. Now we feel that the inexperienced teacher should be surrounded more by a higher percentage of the experienced teacher. Therefore, the children are suffering in the respect that also the Harlem area has been used and still is being used undercover, so to speak, as a Siberia for teachers. That means that we do not get a full or a better selection of the overall teacher assignment.
How do you like school?
I believe school is all right. Yes, I like.
What about your teachers? Do you like your teachers?
Yes, I like them very much.
How about you?
Yeah,
What?
I like my teachers.
You do? Do you like your teachers?
Sure, I like my teacher.
Do you think you're getting as good an education here as kids in other schools?
I think I'd rather stay here in New York and go to Douglas than to go down south and these are shotgun dogs.
What about you? Do you like your teachers?
Nope.
Why not?
They don't do you right.
They what?
They don't teach you right.
They don't teach you right.
No.
What do you think you ought to be taught?
I'm taught everything.
You're dissatisfied, is that
Yeah.
right? You'd rather have better teachers?
Yeah.
How about you? Anybody else?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I like all the teachers here, sir, because they're very nice and they go all out their way to teach you.
The United States is firmly committed to the defense of Formosa and the Pescadores. The basic purpose is to assure that Formosa and the Pescadores will not be forcibly taken over by the Chinese Communists. the American people, through their elected representatives, have made it clear to the world that we are united here at home in our determination to help a brave ally and to resist communist armed aggression. By so asserting this belief, we are taking a step to preserve the peace in the Formosa area.
The Little Rock School Board originally went into district court asking for a 2.5-year delay. The reasons for their request for this delay were to try to have conditions more favorable to an educational climate in which children of both races could be educated. Under the present condition in Little Rock, we feel it's impossible to educate adequately the children of either race. We look at this request as a tactical delay, not an abandonment of the Little Rock plan of integration. There is no attempt to circumvent the original Supreme Court decision. The Little Rock School Board has been in good...
Over.